I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much that I need to say and I'm just like, okay. Guys, we're in for a long video. I'm sorry, but I haven't uploaded in a while, so I'm hoping that this makes up for it. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. I'm so excited to film today's video. I have been working on this video since February, like doing the prep for it. So the original plan for this video was I was going to read 3 of Steph's recommendations and tell you what I thought about them. 31 books later, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of different books. This is the list of books that I'll be talking about today and my opinions on them. And oh my gosh, so the reason that I did this video, I'll have some timestamps down below if you want to skip ahead, but the reason that I did this video was because I've always loved books, but I've hated reading because I never found, like, I loved the idea of books and stories and everything, but I could never find books that I liked, and I am a hopeless romantic to the core. So I always have watched BookTube since I was like 10 and I'm 17 now, so I've been watching it for a long time, and I stumbled across Steph's video one day and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not like an older person talking about random books that I would never like. This is a teenage girl with similar interests that I have, and these books actually sound interesting. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna read it, and that's how this whole thing happened. Also, peep the hoodie. I saw Steph wearing it in one of her videos and I loved it, so I bought it. The Australian currency was painful, but I love it, so yay. So with all of that said, I love Steph so much. Her videos, amazing, and I'm so excited. So let's get into the video. Okay, so let's start off with a banger. This book I read, okay, how do I even explain? This series, I haven't finished it yet because I'm procrastinating. I have Fuel to the Fire, Long Way Down, and Some Kind of Perfect left, and then obviously all the spin-off things. But I just, oh my gosh, I can't even explain how I feel. This is Addicted to You by Kristen Becca Ritchie, but the series is the Addicted/Calorie Sisters series. Oh, by the way, this is what the actual book looks like. That's the one that you would recognize. But oh my gosh, I literally can't breathe. I love them so much. I will put in some tweets and some Snapchats of mine. So yeah, Okay, you guys, I'm editing right now on my iPad, and I've decided that I'm going to put in some Snapchats that I sent to my best friend about Lillian Lowe, because I feel like you just need to know how this I'm sorry for my appearance in these Snapchats, but it's worth it. I just have to express how much I love them. Like, I can't express how much they love each other and how much I love them. Like, I need you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'll always be here when you come home. There will always be an us. Oh my god. This one, Our Love is Rare. It's one I can't abandon even if I tried. When she screams, an identical one rips through me. When she cries, my world reigns with grief. When she loves, I truly, truly fly. I have never wanted anyone else but Lily. I could never put into words what this series has done for me. So this was the first thing that I read, and I am so happy that it was the first thing that I read because, oh my gosh. So this series follows, the Addicted series follows Lillian Lowe, which I have seen so much hate for Lillian Lowe on TikTok, and it makes me sad because I love them. I don't understand how you could read and not love them, but it's okay, it's fine, everyone's entitled to their opinions. I have a playlist for Lillian Lowe, and every time I listen to it I nearly cry because they've been through so much, and okay, so this is about Lily, this book is from Lily's perspective. The rest are duos. Actually, I think Ricochet is from hers too, but Addicted for Now and Then On is from both, which I prefer, but I still love Lily. So this is from Lily's perspective, and she is keeping a secret from everyone. She's a sex addict. I know, it's kind of crazy. And then her best friend Lo, who she lives with, or Lauren, who she lives with, is an alcoholic. But I don't think he's really admitted it to himself, but he is, definitely. And this book is about their friendship that turns into a romance, but it kind of always was, but it was like the lines were blurred. There's fake dating in this, and I know I'm explaining it so badly. I'm too excited. And I suck at explaining things. But this series as a whole is just... So it evolves to Lily's sisters, who, when I was first reading the book, I was like, Lily's sisters, like, we're gonna be evolving into that, but no, like, seriously, they're... So we have Daisy and Rose. I literally have prints up on my wall. I'll insert a picture that I made for them, because they're like my family. They're literally like my family. I know that sounds sad, but read it and it's not. Like, oh. So Rose has a boyfriend named Connor, which we also meet in this series. And Daisy ends up dating Reich, which is connected to Lo in a way that I'm not going to spoil, but just read this series and try not to cry. Also, if you want me to do a playlist video, I have a playlist for almost all of these couples because I'm obsessed with music and I express like feelings in music. So if you are interested in me doing a ship playlist video, let me know. But that's the Addicted series. I have to move on, otherwise I'll talk about it forever. So this series as a whole is definitely a 5-star series. Not every book in the series is a 5-star. I think I gave this 3 stars, and then the next book 3 stars, and then the next book 4 stars, and then from there on it was 5 stars on every book. Just letting you know. But the series, like, you have to... I know some people are like, no, I don't like the first 3 books even, which I was sold by then, but get to Kiss the Sky and Hot House Flower and Thrive and like all of Addicted After All. Like, you just gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. Okay, so the next category is Colleen Hoover books. I only own 2 of the physical books, which is very sad, but eventually when I have more money, I will own all of them. But for now, I just have 2, so I'm going to start with the next book that I read. So I read Addicted to You, and then I read Ugly Love, because the way that Steph talks about this book, I was like, it has to be great, right? It was. I annotated it, if you can see. This book, okay, I want to preface by saying that I haven't cried reading any books because I'm not that kind of person. I don't cry, but I feel all of the emotions so deep into my core. I just don't like cry about it, but like I feel everything, and that's probably why I don't cry, because I feel things so deeply. This book broke my heart into 1,000 pieces and then sewed it back together, but it was still a bit broken because I can't recover from what happened in this book. Okay, this book is about Miles and Tate has a brother. This is brother's best friend. Is that right? Brother's best friend. I think so. That's how you say it, right? Best friends? No, yeah, it's brother's best friend. And so she's moving in with her brother because I can't actually remember why she's moving in with her brother. I think she had like a job opportunity or something. I'm not sure. But he is a flight attendant, and so is Miles, who is the brother's best friend. And he lives in the apartment next door. But when Tate gets there, he's like drunk and just like on the, not dead, but like just like on the door, like in front of the door. And she's like, what's going on? So she calls her brother, and I'm pretty sure that did he say who he was? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm getting too into depth with the beginning. This story is a romance between Miles and Tate. And basically I suck at explaining books. Hold on. Okay. They don't have time for each other. Maybe I should just read the back, but I won't. I'll explain it. They don't have time for each other. They don't want love. They don't want romance. They just want sex, is pretty much what this is. But, of course, that doesn't work. Things start happening. Love starts forming. But then Miles just like won't. Tate can tell that Miles wants to love her, but he can't for some reason. And she's like, why? Like, what the heck? And he starts treating her like kind of like crap, to be honest. And she's like, okay, like, why? Why are you treating me like crap? It goes back from past to present. So in the past, we have Miles, and we're seeing his past, and the reason that he can't love her now, which this is not a predictable book. I don't see how you could predict what was going to happen. And if you are, you're some kind of like magician, because this is not predictable. If you're worried about that, I have not heard anyone that has predicted what happened in this book. And then the future where Tate is falling in love with him and he won't like give it up. So that's pretty much, I can't really say much without giving it up. Read this book. This was 5 stars. I can't even express the feelings that I have towards this book. Meant to be. Literally meant to be. Forever and ever and ever. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about is the other physical one that I have. And this is It Ends With Us. Oh. This is what Ugly Love looks like, by the way. This is what you would recognize. I just don't want to like confuse people with the dust jackets. That's what it looks like. Anyway, this is what It Ends With Us looks like. Look familiar? Yeah, you've probably seen it all over TikTok. So, It Ends With Us, I loved. Don't get me wrong. Loved it. 5 stars. Really into it. But it's definitely not my favorite Colleen Hoover book. And it's so highly rated that like, I wasn't disappointed, but I was like expecting a little bit more. It was great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't understand how I could like be disappointed by a 5-star book. I'm not. It was just like, it's not my favorite book by her. Anyway, it's great. I shouldn't have said that. It's an amazing book. So It Ends With Us is about Lily and Ryle, and you see them falling in love, having a normal romance. It's great. It's so cute. And then through diary entries, kind of like Ugly Love's, kind of similar thing, but instead of flipping back and forth through time, it's like through a journal that she's talking to Ellen. Like she was writing letters to Ellen, but it's a diary. It's kind of hard to explain. Anyway, so she is falling in love with Ryle, but she can't seem to get Atlas out of her head, which is the guy from the letters, if that makes sense. When she was growing up, she fell for this guy named Atlas. He had to leave, and it was kind of an unresolved situation, and she can't seem to get over it and stop thinking about him. So she's reading these letters, and then it takes a turn, which I won't spoil for you, but it broke my heart. Not as much as Ugly Love. I don't think that anything could break my heart as much as Ugly Love. Actually, 1,000 Boy Kisses did a pretty good job, but I don't think another Colleen Hoover book could break me as much as Ugly Love did. But I don't want to spoil it for you, but read this book. If you have not read It Ends With Us, read this book for sure. It was great. It was so, like, ow. Like, it hurt. It hurt to read, but it was fantastic, and it changed the way that I think about relationships. Kind of like All Your Perfects, but in a different way. All Your Perfects, I'll talk about next. But this changed the way that I think about relationships in the way that you never really know what's going on behind closed doors. I'm trying not to spoil things. But you don't know the way that people think, and you can assume that someone is this sort of way, and they're not. And even when they don't want to be, and they are, because of something that happened in their past, and they can't seem to get through it, it's like you had so much potential. Okay, anyway. Okay, so next is All Your Perfects. I'll put the little thingy up here. This book is fantastic. Again, 5 stars. I'm pretty sure every Colleen Hoover book that I've read is 5 stars. Except for Confess, that was 4.5 stars. Still an amazing book. It's just, when I compare it to some of the others, I'm like, I feel like the other ones were a little tiny bit better. I would probably give It Ends With Us 4.5 stars as well, because I feel like Confess and It Ends With Us are on the same level for me, personally. Sorry to everyone who's mad right now. This book was fan-freaking-tastic. I read it in one day because I couldn't put it down. This follows Quinn and Graham, and it starts in such a funny way. It's, again, past and present, switching back and forth, a Colleen Hoover classic. And we meet them together by them finding out that Quinn's fiance, is sleeping with Graham's girlfriend, basically. And they're standing outside in the doorway, like, right, this is where we are now. So that's how we meet them, and from there we watch them fall in love, and it's the cutest thing ever. And then we go to the present, and they're falling out of love while going through infertility issues. This book felt so real, like it felt like it could have been written by someone that actually went through this, you know? It felt like someone could have just written their life story down, and that was what this was. I felt so connected to the characters, even though I've never been through anything like that, and fingers crossed never will. But the way that this was displayed and talked about and just explained was so beautifully heartbreaking. That's what I would call this book, beautifully heartbreaking. Okay, this is kind of a spoiler, so if you haven't read the book, maybe don't, I don't know. But a lot of people don't read these books, don't read Colleen Hoover books because they're scared about the endings. Please read the books. Just please read the books. The endings are great. They're great. I'm sorry, they're awesome. So don't let that scare you off from reading them because they're phenomenal books. The ending of this book, I was like kind of still heartbroken, but I was happy for them. And I cannot. When I was reading All Your Perfects, I remembered Steph saying something about another series that had mentioned at the end. And I was like, okay, I didn't know that she had series, you know? So I went and I read Hopeless and the Hopeless series, except I haven't read the book that ties those two books together yet because it's not available where I live. So I'm gonna have to try and find it somewhere because I need to know the ending. I have a pretty good, I kind of figured it out. Like I feel like I figured it out, but it's Colleen Hoover, so I probably didn't. Anyway, Hopeless is so painfully underrated. I haven't heard anyone talk about this other than Steph. You guys, read Hopeless, please. This book, this series is freaking fantastic. Oh my god. Sky and Holder, bad name, I get it. His actual name is Dean, but whatever. They broke my heart. Colleen Hoover, just like it needs to break your heart apparently if she writes a book. Basically, I was going into it thinking it was just like a cool, like cute little high school romance. I should have known better because it was Colleen Hoover. It is a great high school romance book series, but it also takes an insane twist that I will not spoil for you, but be prepared for it to just blow your freaking mind. Like, I'm sorry, I thought I was reading a cute little wholesome romance. Apparently not. Whoa. 5 stars again. So the first book is Hopeless, the second book is Losing Hope. These two books are the same story, but the first one is from Sky's perspective and the second one is from Holder's perspective. And he knows something from the second that they meet, or at least he thinks he does, and he does. And so when you read her book, you find out what he knows and all of this stuff, and then you go to his book and you read it from him knowing from the beginning, and him being like, how do I approach this? Is it what I think it is? It's so good. And then it's Finding Cinderella and Finding Perfect. So I've read Finding Cinderella, and it's a novella of Sky's best friend falling in love with Dean's best friend, Holder's best friend. And I thought I was like, oh my god, it's just gonna be like, another random love story, but whatever, I'll read it because I love the series. No, 5 stars. I have no words. Also, I swear that I am a hard marker, but Steph just has fantastic book recommendations. Like, really, she just has amazing book recommendations. So I have given so many books 5 stars because they've been amazing. Anyway, that was about 6 falling in love, and the way that Colleen Hoover writes books, they literally are ingrained in my brain forever, and I want it that way. I need to stop talking about this book, but oh my gosh, read it. Okay, so let's talk about Confess. So Steph hadn't recommended this book, but I knew about Colleen Hoover because of her, and it was available at my library. So I was like, okay, I'll read it. But then this morning I was watching her latest video and she talked about it and she said that she read it. So now I'm going to include it in the video because she's read it. This book was so good and no one talks about it. I hadn't heard anyone talk about it when I saw it at my library, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Colleen Hoover, I'm sure I'll love it. This was great. The concept was great. It was so interesting. So it's about the main guy named Owen, which I watched Grey's Anatomy, and so I was just picturing him and I was like, ugh, I don't like Owen from Grey's Anatomy. I was like, get out of my head so I can enjoy this book. So it was about Owen, and then, oh my gosh, Aubrey? Was that her name? I think it was Aubrey or something like that. So it starts off with Aubrey in her boyfriend's bed while he's dying. In the hospital, by the way. And so we're sort of like, okay, what's going on, you know? And so then we moved to that was the past, so we moved to the present. And like walking home from her job, I think, is that what happened? Yeah, she was walking home from her job and she saw this thing in the window. She was looking at this and it was like taped up on the wall, on the window. There was all of these confessions and she was like, what is going on? And then Owen opens the door and he's like, what are you doing? And she was like, he was like, do you want a job? And basically she ends up working for him because she needs the money, which we find out why later, which again, crazy plot twist that I loved. I really liked the plot twists in this book. Twists. Colleen Hoover got an artist to, Owen's an artist. He takes the confessions and he makes them into art, right? Colleen Hoover got an actual artist to do art for it. So we got to see the things that they were looking at and describing, which I loved. It made it feel so much more realistic, and I loved this book. It was insane, of course, and so good. If you haven't read it, please give it a go. No one talks about it and they need to. Okay, so the last Colleen Hoover book that I'm going to be talking about is November 9. I was apprehensive about going into this book. I can't remember why, but I was. And I shouldn't have been. If you're apprehensive about going into this book, read it. Give it a freaking go. 5 stars. This book was fantastic. It follows Fallon and Ben. Basically, Fallon is in a restaurant meeting up with her dad, and he's being an absolute jerk to her. He like redeems himself later, but I was still sort of like, you were being a jerk. Like, I get it, but like, not really. You can still be a nice human. Anyway, Fallon was an actress and there was this fire and she has like scars now, so she is not an actress anymore. They kicked her off, which, Hollywood, right? Anyway, they kicked her off, so her dad was like basically being a jerk about that. Ben overhears her dad and comes over and pretends to be her boyfriend to like stand up for her, basically, which, just like, if that's not a great beginning to a book, I don't know what is. It was fantastic. And then they agree, after they spend the day together, they agree to meet up the next year on November 9th. And for the next 5 years, because she doesn't have time for love right now. He doesn't have time for love right now. And she's not allowed to date until she's 23? Or like settle down till she's 23, I believe. So she was like, I can't, like, I'm not going to. So she was like, I'm not going to do that. So they agree to meet up every November 9th. And the things that happen between every year is insane. There was 2 major plot twists for me, at least. One of them, I thought it was the big plot twist, but no, there was something big coming. But still, I was like, what? That's not okay. Like, if you read this book, I think it was the 3rd November 9th or the 4th, I don't know, but I was like, what the actual hell is happening right now? That's not okay. I understand, but also I don't. Like, that's not okay. Anyway, this book, the ending, oh my gosh. So many plot twists, so many crazy things that were happening. I was like, I devoured this book so fast. I was like, I couldn't stop reading. It was fantastic, and if you haven't read it, definitely read it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about a book that I did not love. And I'm sorry because it was just in Steph's 5-star reads. So I apologize. But it's okay. It's okay, right? Everyone has different opinions. So this book was called The Unhoneymooners. Ooh. I know that a lot of people are going to be mad about that because a lot of people love this book. And I enjoyed it. I listened to it on audiobook, which I don't like audiobooks. So that could definitely have swayed my opinion because the voice of the girl was like an older woman. And so I couldn't really picture it. But the reason I gave this book 3 stars, the reason that I did that was because the ending for me wrapped up way too quickly. And I felt like it was a bit rushed. The ending was not my favorite, and for me to really, really love a book, I have to love everything about it. Not everything about it, but like at least understand everything about it and really feel connected to the characters, and I felt a disconnect in this book, and so that's why I gave it 3 stars. I'm sure that maybe in the future I'll reread it and I'll love it, but it just wasn't my thing, so I'm staying away from Christina Lauren books because I don't think that I like their writing style. So I'm just not going to read any Christina Lauren books. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about it for too long because I don't want people to get upset. But that was my opinion on The Unhoneymooners. I'm sorry for how many times I've touched my hair in this video. Okay, so the next book is Red, White and Royal Blue. This book was also a 5-star read for Steph, I believe. And for me, it was a 4-star read. I really enjoyed it by the end, but the beginning was so slow for me and I could not read it. I had to listen to it as an audiobook, which if you are going to, the audiobook is really good. The voices are really good, so I didn't have any issues with the voices or anything. But it was so, the perspective for me that it was written in was not one that I could feel connected to if I read it. I had to listen to it because it was like, it was written in 3rd person, which I hate. I don't like. I could never give a book that is written in 3rd person, the imaginary 3rd person, 5 stars because that's just not the way that I like to read. My favorite is when it's 1st perspective and it switches back and forth between the 2 main characters. That's what I really love. This book was so cute though. Moving on. It was so cute. Their romance, like they love each other so much, and I really, really enjoyed it so much that I couldn't give it like a really low rating because I really loved it. It was just a little difficult for me to read. It may be just the way that my brain works, but yeah, not my favorite. Okay, moving on to something else that I loved, and everything from here on I loved, just letting you know. So this is Anna and the French Kiss, and look at this. How beautiful is this? I mean, you're kidding me. It's stunning. So this was so cute. I want to go to Paris again one day and read this because the setting, the way that they set this book up, the way that they described their surroundings was so amazing that I felt like I was in Paris while I was reading it. They described everything so well. The characters I'm talking about, but obviously it was Stephanie Perkins. But I really, really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars when I read it. And I probably still would. Maybe. I have read a lot of books since then, and I don't think that this would still be a 5-star read. This was the 3rd book that I read. It could be, I don't know, but I would probably give it 4.5 stars now. But still, this book was so good. I loved it. It was so sweet and wholesome and cute and just like a really refreshing, nice romance that was adorable. So this follows Etienne and Anna and their love story, except Etienne has a girlfriend when it starts. And so basically Anna is really mad at the beginning of the book because she has to go to Paris to a boarding school situation. It's kind of a boarding school. It's like an away from home school thing. And she's mad because she has to leave everyone behind, and she was just starting a romance with somebody else. And things were happening, you know. She was excited, and then she got moved to Paris, which I know, 1st world problems, but, you know, she was upset about it because she was leaving behind everything that she knew, and her parents just, like, shipped her off and didn't really give her much of a warning. So when she arrives, she's mad. But then she meets her roommate and the people across the hall, and she fits into a friend group. That's where we meet Etienne. Also, his name is Etienne St. Clair, and she calls him St. Clair until like things start happening, and then when she's mad at him, she'll call him St. Clair, and that's how he knows that, well, one of the ways that he knows that she's mad at him, because she's not calling him Etienne. Anyway, so cute. There were some like really sad things that happened in this book. I was like, what? This was a cute romance. But yes, not a Colin Hoover kind of sad, but just like, aw, that's sad. But yeah, I would highly recommend this book. It's adorable for one, and I really enjoyed this storyline, and I think that people give it a lot of hate because it's a YA novel, which is like, what are you expecting from a YA novel, you know? I loved it, and I thought it was really cute, and I will definitely be rereading this in the future. Okay, let's talk about 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Because this was a 5-star read. Surprise, surprise. But this book, I want to hold it forever and never let it go. Like, look at how many tabs are in this book. Like, oh my gosh, it is so tabbed because it's just an amazing book. It broke my heart. Okay. So this is childhood friends to lovers, but it's kind of childhood lovers to lovers because they pretty much started dating when they were like 7. How old were they? I don't even know, but like young. They were little. This follows Poppy and Rune, and basically they were best friends and pretty much dating. Like, yeah, they were dating when they were kids. And he would like sneak in her window and they would sleep together, like fall asleep together, not sleep together. And then the night he ends up having to move away, and the night before he leaves, they slept together for the first time, and then he left, right? And then Poppy basically cut him off completely, and he was like, what did I do? Like, did something go wrong that night? Like, what happened? Why is she not talking to me? And he goes super, like, he gets super mad, and they're both like stunning, but Rune specifically is like really gorgeous. He looks, I don't know if you can see, but this is like kind of what he looks like. He like comes back and he's smoking cigarettes, and he's like really like wrong side of the tracks kind of thing. Like, you know, everyone's like, what the hell happened? But also like, oh my god, he's so hot, but what the hell happened? And Poppy, the reason that she stopped talking to him, I'm not going to tell you. I don't want to spoil it, but oh, that is why this book is sad. And it just, oh my god. Oh. But basically, it follows their romance, it follows their story, it follows everything, and you just, it makes your heart break into 1,000 pieces. Oh, it's called 1,000 Boy Kisses. I was kind of confused as to why it was called that, because not many people explain it, so let me do that. Basically, it also starts with Poppy's grandmother passing away, and her grandmother gives her this jar full of hearts that look like this. I don't want to zoom in because that heart is like a giveaway. This one, kiss number 1. It says, kiss number 1 with my Rune in my blossom garden, my heart almost burst, is what it says. So basically, it was her first kiss and she wrote it down. So she writes down all of the special kisses that she has, and Rune is like, I'm gonna give you all of these kisses. Like, you don't need to go to anybody else. I'll give you 1,000 boy kisses and make them all special. So that's where that comes from. And that like plays into why it's so sad. Like the last one it's on here. I'm not showing you it. Just a quick spoiler section. If you haven't read it, go read it right now. Just stop this video and go read it. But the spoiler thing right now, listen to Ghost of You by 5 Seconds of Summer while thinking about this book. Gives that song a whole nother perspective. It's really sad. It's in my Poppy and Rune playlist on Spotify. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Off-Campus / BriarU. I have read up to The Risk in BriarU. I'm so excited for the last 2 books because every book that I've read so far has been 5 stars for me from this series, Off-Campus and BriarU. First of all, the last book in the Off-Campus series, how do people, I've seen some hate for that book, and I'm like, how, I don't understand. I know that some people don't like I'm gonna say the trope, so if you haven't read it, don't listen, but like, it's pretty common, like, people talk about it all the time. I love pregnancy tropes, I always have, I really like them, and I felt like the way that they both handled it was very empowering, and like, I don't know, I just really liked it. And so I don't understand, but I understand that some people don't like it. It's totally fine, but oh my gosh, I love Sabrina and Tucker so much. But this book that I have right now is the deal because I only have the first one, but this is what it looks like. So this, I'm just going to talk about quickly, like each couple really quick. So this is Hannah and Garrett's story. They start off by, she's his tutor basically, and it's a romance from there. There's a plot twist in this, and definitely look up trigger warnings. Just to be safe, look up trigger warnings for any book that I mention in this book video, except for like Anna and the French Kiss. I mean, like maybe still look up trigger warnings. I don't know. But this book was phenomenal. Hannah and Garrett are just, if you can see, this is like their aesthetic. Like what? How could you? Sometimes people sneak up on you and suddenly you don't know how you ever lived without them. Like, ow. So that was phenomenal. And then the second book is that Logan and Grace? Yes, Logan and Grace. Loved Logan and Grace so much. Oh my gosh, I forgot my necklace. Hang on. I'm sorry, you guys. I get distracted so easily. Anyway, what was I talking about? Logan and Grace. Yes, Logan and Grace. I loved them so much. They were so cute. They basically, Logan is an F-boy. Pretty much all of these guys start off as like F-boys. Pretty much all of them. And then they like settle down for this one girl, which is like so cute. But basically Logan's an F-boy and he is looking for a party and he accidentally ends up at Grace's doorstep. Accidentally. No, it was an accident. But oh my god, can't believe that happened in a romance novel. But it was so cute and eventually they end up together. It's just, I'm not giving anything justice, but that was their love story. Then we have Allie and Dean, which Dean is like the real, like, whoa kind of F-boy. Like he was, like the book starts off with him having like a threesome and she walks in because she's like just broke up with her boyfriend and she can't go home because he's being weird. And so she's staying at the house with the boys because they all live together and no one's home except for him. And she walks in, having a threesome, and she's like, okay. Actually, she's not phased at all. She's like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna watch some TV. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go upstairs. She's like, okay. End up like sleeping together that night because they get drunk and then he can't get her out of his head. He can't stop thinking about her and then they end up together and it's so cute. And then the final book is Sabrina and Tucker, which I touched on earlier. That is a one-night stand that turns into being parents and being together, and eventually things happen. I was gonna give a big spoiler, but I'm not going to. But yeah, so that's Off Campus. Every book was 5 stars. Then we have Briar U, which, as I said, I've only read the first 2 books, but both of them 5 stars. Summer and Fitz, I loved that book so much, and it gets a lot of hate, which makes me really sad, but it's called The Chase, and I connected to Summer so much. Her struggle with ADHD was really inspiring to me, and the way that she realized that she wasn't an idiot, I totally related to that. That's how I feel. I don't know if I have ADD or not, but just the way that she was speaking about it, it made me feel seen, and I really enjoyed the book. Also, Summer reminds me a lot of Daisy, which I loved, Daisy Calloway. I haven't heard anyone say that before, but they reminded me a lot of each other and I think they could be best friends. So I was like picturing them like being really close and oh my gosh. So yeah, their love story was so good. There was a lot of things wrapped up in that book though. There was like a teacher thing that was going on and he was like really creepy and no one was listening to her and she was like, no, he's genuinely creepy, and everyone was like, oh no, he's this great teacher, and she was like, ooh. So that whole thing happened. And then the next book is, I finished this the day before yesterday and I already want to reread it. It's called The Risk and it was about Brenna and Jake, and it's an enemies to lovers situation. I just, my heart hurts. I love these couples so much. Sabrina, what? No, Brenna, they actually reminded me a lot of each other though. Brenna was definitely a bit more badass though. Her red lipstick, the classic. These books have a lot of other storylines, like sad storylines wrapped up into it, and Brenna's was really interesting. I really liked her storyline, and it was crazy. I was like, am I reading a Colleen Hoover book right now? What's happening? It was so good. So this is your sign. If you haven't read those books, go read them right now. Okay guys, we are at the last book series, and that is the After series. So if you hate this series, thank you guys for watching. I love you. I'll see you in the next video. But if you're interested in hearing an opinion about this book, then keep watching. So, After by Anna Todd. I want to preface by saying if you are going into this book expecting anything else than a Wattpad story, then you'll be disappointed, because that's what this is, right? It was written on Wattpad and published, which I think is so awesome and cool that she got, like, look how big this series is, and she probably just wrote it in her bedroom. Like, that's a pretty big accomplishment. I'm so, like, proud of her. Like, girl power, hell yeah. I really enjoyed this book series. It was crazy, and I didn't see anything coming. I knew the basic premise of this story, but the rest of the books... Oh, this is After We Collided, because After, it doesn't have a dust jacket yet, so it's up there. But this is After We Collided, because I'm collecting the movie covers. Because I think that the casting for the movies was really good. I don't think that the movies did them justice. However, they are my guilty pleasure movies now, especially After We Collided. I've watched that a few too many times. I actually filmed, the reason I haven't uploaded in a while is because I filmed myself reacting to the first movie, and editing that has been awful, so it probably will never see the light of day. But yes, this series, I can't explain how connected and how much I love these characters. Definitely not a healthy romance at the beginning at all. And even like the back and forth definitely got tiring. I was like, ugh, like I'm sick of this, you know, like just be together already or don't, you know. But by the end, the last book, even like the ending of the last book, I was just like, finally, like I'm so happy that they're together. The way that they love each other is so insane that they literally can't be apart. Like they try to be away from each other, and it never works out because they love each other so much. So if you hate this series, that's totally okay, and you're totally entitled to your opinion. But personally, I really enjoyed it. It was really fun to read, for one. It was really enjoyable and crazy, and there were so many plot twists. Like, oh my god, the thing with her father, I'm not gonna spoil it, but like when she came home from London and found her father, situation, what the hell was that? I was like, oh my god. Just a casual situation that happened. But if you're looking for something that you will fly through, even though they're big books, you literally fly through them so quickly. I read it all in about a week. I really, these are my babies. I love them so much. This is the end of this video. If you stayed to the end, I love you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I am so excited about it, and I hope that I did it justice. I know that my thoughts are all over the place, but I just really love all of these books, and because of Steph, I now have an insane love of reading. Like, this is 30 books and counting. I can't stop reading. I am so obsessed completely, and I just cannot get enough of these books. I am so completely in love with reading now, and it's all because of Steph and because of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, I would mean a lot to me if you subscribed and hit the thumbs up button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.